Hello, and welcome back for another update on my LEGO City project. This time, we're tackling the biggest build yet. It took me an entire week to complete this building, but trust me, the result is totally worth it. To the left of the train station and the main square, I'm planning an old town section of the city. This area will feature four massive vintage apartment complexes, and today, we're kicking off with the first one. Believe me, you'll want to see this. We're talking two large classic three-story houses, each fully furnished inside. We're starting with the ground floor, where I built the exterior walls using 1x1 stud knob bricks. The outside of these homes will have an old brick look, but more on that later. This entire building is fully modular, with only a few connection points to the base. Inside, I left space to attach the floor that will support the hallways and living rooms of both houses. As you can see in the video, the entire ground floor can be easily detached and reattached to the base. We're setting the ground floor in place so we can start furnishing both houses. In the center of the building, there's the main door leading into the hallway, where residents can access their homes. I built the hallway with two walls running the entire length of the building. One wall will have a clock, and the other a painting. I used white bricks with a single knob on one side to keep the other side looking seamless with the rest of the walls. This adds a bit more character to the hallway than just a plain white wall. These are going to be very large, luxurious homes right in the historic part of the city. I decided to make all the interior walls white, as that's what you typically see in most homes. We're topping off the walls neatly with tiles, leaving just a few connection points, making it easy to add the modular second floor, which can be easily removed from the ground floor. As you can see, this build requires an incredible number of white bricks to construct all the walls. I also used a lot of tiles to finish off each floor and the exterior of the houses. Now that the building's exterior is complete, we're moving on to the interior of the homes. I made a small adjustment to the hallway walls, combining them into a single section instead of four separate walls. I decided to add a light gray trim to the building's lower edge, giving it a bit more character than using only white bricks. I continued the light gray into the hallway's inner walls for a consistent look. To reinforce the structure, I'm making sure all walls are securely connected. This way, no parts of the build will topple over when I stack or remove floors to make adjustments. The outer wall is built with Lego bricks that have knobs on one side, allowing me to tile over them for that unique old brick look. This meant designing a second inner wall to fit between the exterior walls. I left space for the windows and doors, as you can see in the video. For my next design using this building technique, I ordered 600 1x4 stud bricks that are smooth on the inside. This way, I don't need to create a second inner wall, saving me a ton of bricks. We're also installing the inner wall in the right side house and connecting it to the outer wall with tiles. Now that the basic structure is in place, it's time to start furnishing the houses. As I mentioned earlier, every floor will be fully decorated and detailed. For the living room, I designed this detailed kitchen, which will be added to both houses. The kitchens include an oven, refrigerator, stovetop, and sink with a faucet. To make the most of the limited space, you have to design every detail thoughtfully for a fully functional setup. Later in the video, I'll show you how I designed the rest of the living room, but first, let's talk more about the exterior of the houses. For the walls, I used a technique where tiles are mounted horizontally on studs to create texture. I also want to add variety between floors by incorporating classic elements like those you'd often see in 18th century buildings. I've placed multiple stud bricks across the full width and length of the walls, adding these decorative elements on both the long and short sides of the house. I'll be doing the same for the second floor as well. This gives the building a unique old-world look, capturing exactly what makes historic architecture so fascinating to look at. It's my first time using this technique, but so far, I'm thrilled with the results. If you ask me, it's definitely worth the effort. I'm finishing the first floor with tiles before moving on to the rest of the living room layout. Each living room includes a kitchen, sofa, dining table, and various accessories like a TV and plants to create a cozy atmosphere. Every floor is also connected by staircases that go all the way up. This approach is a great example of my goal to make every building in my city as realistic as possible. Just like in a real house, every floor should be accessible. We're finishing the floor with light brown tiles to create a nice wood look. We've also added the residence, which makes the interior feel that much more realistic. The house is really coming to life now. For one of the two homes, I designed a stylish staircase embedded in the wall, similar to what you'd often see in luxury homes. So why not have it in my city too? The man of the house is relaxing on the couch, watching TV, while the women enjoy a well-deserved drink at the dining table. Their teenage daughter is, of course, busy with her phone, just like most kids her age these days. With the ground floor fully decorated, we're moving on to the second floors. I created two openings in the floor where the tops of the staircases lead up, so the residents can access their bedrooms. This floor will feature two bedrooms and a bathroom. We'll secure the floor on a few connection points and place the classic decorative elements back along the outer walls. Every room you'd find in a regular house also needs to be included in this design. Since it's a luxury home, the first floor has to have at least two bedrooms. Many larger homes might have even more, but this one is in the old city center, where houses tend to be smaller than those in the suburbs. With the vintage elements now attached to the outer walls, you can see how the complex is shaping up in the next shots. Not bad, right? Personally, I love the old world look and can't wait to see the entire house when it's finished. We'll quickly move on to building the outer walls of the first floor, using the same technique as on the ground floor. The reason I'm using these 1x1 stud bricks is that I already had a ton of them, and it felt wasteful not to use them in one of my builds. I had a large bag full of these pieces, but as I started covering all the walls with these small bricks, I realized I didn't have as many as I thought. Thankfully, I just had enough to complete this build. For my next design using this technique, I'll be switching to 1x4 stud bricks that I ordered, which will save me a lot of time and effort. You can imagine how much work it took to place each tiny piece. Luckily, I sped up the video 30 times, so you don't have to sit through this tedious task along with me. The windows on this level are positioned directly above the ones below, and I'm using the same stud bricks for all the walls. Working on projects this big isn't always fun, but once it's finished, it's totally worth all the effort. The outer walls will again be finished with tiles, and we'll move on to the interior. A thick partition wall separates the two homes, and we'll finish everything off with tiles once again. When I attached the wall in place, I realized that the middle two windows on both sides of the building were blocked. This meant no light could come through these windows, creating an unrealistic effect. You can clearly see this in the next shots. Since my goal is to make everything as realistic as possible, I decided to tear down the wall and come up with an entirely new solution. I designed separate storage closets on either side of the windows so they wouldn't be blocked by a wall. We're attaching the new partition wall to both storage rooms and then moving on with the remaining walls on this floor. But of course, not before we've finished everything off with tiles. I also continued the staircase on this floor, leading up to the attic of each house. It was a challenge to design it in a way that wouldn't take up too much space, as staircases often do. I think it turned out great. In the following shots, you can see how the walls are laid out to separate the various rooms. Pretty cool view, don't you think? This floor is, of course, fully furnished, featuring two bedrooms and a bathroom adjacent to the master bedroom. These are luxury homes, after all. I designed a bathroom complete with a toilet, a sink, and a shower stall with a glass door separating it from the rest of the bathroom. This shower even has two separate shower heads, exactly what you'd expect in a luxury home like this. The rest of this floor has two bedrooms, each with closet space, beds, and lamps to light up the rooms. Everything a home needs, right? Now that this floor is fully furnished, we're moving on to the top level of the houses. I've designed an attic with a sloped roof, which is essential for old houses like this. Each attic has 3 doors leading to small balconies where residents can enjoy a beautiful view of the city. The sloped roof, along with the old-style doors and balcony railings, really adds character to the house, giving it that authentic historic charm, like when you stroll through a vintage cityscape. The roof is modular as well and features 2 chimneys. Building roofs this way requires a lot of angled Lego bricks, so I've already ordered 200 more for my next building. Even though it's a bit costly, I think the effect is more than worth it. This goes for old buildings in general. They have much more detail and require a lot more bricks. The attic itself is furnished with a large dining table and a desk, so residents have a space to work from home. Something that has become much more common for office workers since the COVID-19 pandemic. We're placing the roof on the complex and there's more to come. The best part is still ahead. Since I plan to build even more of these old-style buildings, I placed another huge order on Lego.com. This massive bag of bricks cost me around $200, and I had to sort everything myself, which took about an hour and a half. It's always annoying that they don't separate the pieces into different bags, but at least it cuts down on plastic waste. I've noticed that only when you order more than 200 of the same pieces do they separate it from the rest of the order, like with the 200 angled bricks I ordered for the roof. After all that sorting, here's the result. It's nice to see everything organized like this, isn't it? To build a city as large as mine, you need an incredible amount of Lego bricks. The structure in this update alone weighs about 11 pounds, as you can see in the footage, which equals roughly $500 in cost for just this build. In my previous video, I showed you how many bricks I bought from the pick-a-brick wall at my local Lego store, around 13 pounds of Lego, just to give you an idea of the expenses involved in building a city like this. I cover all these costs myself without any sponsorships, but I could really use your support. If you're enjoying this project and want to help the city grow, consider joining my channel for less than $1 a month to support me in creating even more amazing builds. Head over to my channel and join as a member with a small contribution of your choice. As a member, you'll get exclusive benefits like extra footage only visible to members. I really appreciate your support. It's a big help. And now, we're on to the best part of the video. We're stacking all the floors together to see the stunning final result, but not before we work on the landscape surrounding these old buildings. In the footage, you can see clearly how each floor is built modularly and how easily they stack by connecting at just a few points. Each structure has become surprisingly heavy due to the amount of bricks used, with every surface finished with tiles. We add the roof, and look at that. What a result! Doesn't it look fantastic? And it's about to get even better as we move on to the surroundings. But first, let's take a moment to enjoy these beautiful shots. I can't wait to design more of these old buildings, but first, we'll continue working on the surrounding landscape. We're laying paths around the buildings with light gray tiles, and at the corner near the railway, we transition to dark gray tiles. We're using half-tile pieces for a very clean look, creating a boundary between the railway and the homes. A green hedge will further define this border. But first, let's take a moment to enjoy these beautiful shots. I can't wait to design more of these old buildings, but first, we'll continue working on the surrounding landscape. Greenery always works well in the city and gives the surroundings a more realistic look. The bright green color contrasts nicely with the mostly white and gray tones that I use throughout my city. That's why I decided on a hedge. Another massive project, so let's get started. I designed a hedge that's only 1 stud wide, with knobs on both sides to attach the green panels. I'm using green panels that are 6 studs high, so I need to adjust the rest of the structure to the right height, as you can see in the footage. Since the inside won't be visible from the outside, I can use any color I want for that part. We attach the green panels to the knobs and look at the result. It already looks great, but it's about to get even better. We're also finishing off the top with green bricks where the plants will go. It was a complex design that took some time to figure out. I had never designed a hedge before, but I feel it's something a city can't do without. In my opinion, it's a great way to create a boundary between different parts of the city, so I'm really happy with my choice to include one, despite the time and large number of bricks it required. This is yet another example of the level of detail in my new city. Everything is meticulously crafted until it's 100% up to my standards. This is a key difference from my previous city, which was nice but not perfect. With this project, I'm aiming for perfection. No shortcuts anymore. Now, let's continue with the hedge. We'll do this for the entire hedge running along the length of the neighborhood. Just think of how many leaf pieces it'll take to cover all that greenery. The hedge consists of 3 sections connected by 2 connectors, creating a nice angle to follow the shape of the railway. Later, I plan to replace these connectors with green ones, but I still need to order those. Now it's time to finish the hedge with leaves. I had a massive bag of them, but they get used up quickly this way. Looks like I'll be heading back to the Lego store, where they're thankfully often available on the pick-a-brick wall. With the final leaves in place, we're looking at the finished result of this project. This was my first time designing an old building in this style, and I'll be honest, it was a lot of work. There's so much detail involved, making it a big challenge. But looking at the finished product, I'd say it was more than worth it. I can't wait to design the other 3 buildings and create a stunning historic district. This will be a fantastic addition to my city. I'm really curious to hear what you all think of this building style, and if you'd like to see more buildings like this in the city. Let me know in the comments. And if you want to support this project, consider becoming a member of my channel and helping make the city even more beautiful. Your support is appreciated, and I'll see you in the next update.